straight onto the newspapers for you. Solange Mougin here. She's starting off with how the press is reacting to a public hanging of a second protester in Iran.
Yeah, it is an image that is haunting and shocking, and young viewers may want to look away. But as El País has decided to run with it nonetheless, it shows Majid Reza Ranavad's body hanging from a crane, sort of warning to others in the protest movement. The 23-year-old was executed for allegedly stabbing and killing 2 members of the Iranian security forces. Now, other papers have chosen to cover this story, but with other images. Il Manifesto, it calls it this execution and another that occurred a few days ago, an Iranicide. Meanwhile, Courrier International, it has a wrap today of how the Iranian press is covering the hangings. It explains that some papers, they are towing the regime line, while others say that the executions have put oil on the fire or exacerbated the anger in the streets. And some protesters have absolutely no intention of following the supreme leader. That's what he's saying. Follow the guide here in this cartoon by Coco for Libération. He does, however, have, as you can see here, a bunch of nooses in his beard.
Change of gear, if you like, straight into football. Excitement rising over the semi-finals in the World Cup today. The press is wondering, though, what on earth happened to the boycott?
Yeah, there is, as Le Parisien notes, an irresistible desire to push the pause button on the boycott. And in Argentina, which plays later today, the euphoria and the love of Messi is helping the population momentarily forget their country's political and economic hardships, let alone in Qatar, the fate of migrant workers who died building the stadiums. And as we see in a cartoon by Herman for the Tribune de Genève, their fate has even been eclipsed by the recent corruption scandal with the EU Parliament. You have a Qatari here saying, now no one will dare reproach us for the migrant issue. For the Washington Post, this is a case of sports washing. It's an excellent opinion piece. It says that the Qataris wagered that the sports spectacle would be too good to resist. And for now, it says that Qatar is winning that bet.
And from sports washing to greenwashing, Solange has found us a couple of articles on the dark side of the quest for carbon neutrality.
Yeah, Mediapart has uncovered documents from the Congolese government that show that farmers were expelled from their ancestral lands with little to no compensation so that energy giant Total could plant acacia forests. Why? To counterbalance their carbon footprint. And the catch in it as well is that these monoculture forests, well, they can destroy the local agriculture and the fauna and flora in the Congo. Now, the New Yorker is also talking about greenwashing today, but it takes us to India. It says that the Modi government's rush to industrialize is devastating India's environment. To offset this, there has been a number of rewilding projects, but their success rate has been dismal as there's little focus on biodiversity. But I can't leave you with such downers, so I found an article published today in Science Alert. It shows researchers in Finland found that just after 1 month of playing in the dirt in a forest-like environment, the immune system of children were boosted.
Go and play in the dirt, that's the answer.
Exactly.
Now, what could your body one day tell us is the subject of this next article. The tech world is kind of dabbling in innovating medicine, Solange.
Yeah, ProPublica has an expose today on how Google, the tech giant, is trying to get their hands on and digitalize the U.S. government's stock of tissue samples that they took from U.S. soldiers. Now, Google's goal is to use them and AI to create treatments for things like cancer. But this would give Google exclusive dibs on such technology. And ProPublica says that some in the Department of Defense are worried about the ethical and legal implications of handing over such human specimens and letting Google turn them into, quote, digital gold.
And finally, Solange is going to light up the end of this bulletin with a couple of articles about candles.
Yeah, here in Europe, it is cold outside. And also in France, there's the risk of rolling blackouts later on this winter. So Slate asks, how many candles does it take to heat a room? Well, the quick answer is about 7 candles for 1 degree Celsius. And now, so it might seem like a good idea. 7 candles isn't a lot. But Slate tells us that it is not a good idea. It's prohibitively expensive. It increases the risk of burning your house. house down, and it pollutes your air. So generally a no-no, but at least candles can make good Christmas gifts, or do they? The Los Angeles Times has a candle-hating writer who argues that we have too many of them and that they don't smell good. But then she gets one she loves and proceeds to argue that there is a candle out there for everyone. For example, there are candles that say, "Hands off my vagina," another that says, "Don't do meth in our bathroom," and my favorite for a Christmas gift swap, the white elephant candle.
Very nice. I like just a boring one, just